Hello everyone, and welcome back to our Daily Victory. I'm Dr. Jason Wilkinson, of course, and I have a question that I want to address with you. It's a question that I get a lot because one of the most damaging things that people are doing to themselves in our modern society is they're sitting all day long. So much of the work that was done by hand in the old days has been replaced by computers, has been replaced by the internet, and the result of that is that we spend so much of our day sitting down and working at a computer that we've created a whole set of new problems that didn't used to exist. So I want to talk about that for just a minute and then talk about some things that you can do to correct this problem. If you have a job where you're sitting most of the day, then first of all, that's just not good. So the first thing that you may want to consider is if you have this capability at your workplace, or if you're at home, then it's an easy transition to make. The first and easiest and best solution to this problem of sitting is to eliminate that problem altogether, and that is to have a standing workstation. If you have a computer, if you are working at a computer, which most of us are, then it can be applied to a standing workstation very easily. So first thing you should do is consider getting a standing workstation. You can talk to your employer about this. Sometimes they require a referral from a physician in order to make that happen. And that's very, very easy to do. The standing workstation can be applied in a home setting. If you have a home office, obviously you can do whatever you want to in that circumstance, and please consider using a standing workstation. It eliminates several of the problems that I'm going to talk about right now. The problem with sitting so much is that the muscles that flex the hip, that bring the knee up this way, those muscles are constantly contracted and shortened, and they are not supposed to be like that. You're never supposed to be sitting for that long at a time. And because they stay contracted like this, they cause a host of problems in the lumbar spine, the lower back, and in the pelvis, and with the musculature that surrounds that area. So people's glute muscles, the muscles right here, those glute muscles should be active and strong all the time, but because they're constantly stretched out and the hip flexors are contracted tightly, those weak glute muscles cause a huge weakness in your lower back and in your pelvis and your sacrum that could really lead to some serious injury. I myself have felt exactly what that's like because of the lot of sitting that I did in my years at school, and it caused me to have weaknesses here that I wasn't even aware of, and that led to a pretty significant lower back injury for me. So you don't want that to happen to you. This is the culprit for a lot of these back injuries that I'm seeing every day. So you just need to eliminate that. If you can get rid of this sitting down that you do all day and have a standing workstation, that would be so much better. But if you can't, then there's some things that you need to think about. So first of all, when you're sitting just like this, you'll notice that my back is against the back of the chair, which I do recommend, but look at the problem here with this particular chair. I chose it for a reason. Notice that my knees are above the crease of my hip here, so the hip flexors here are contracted even more than they should be. So this is a really, really bad problem, and there's the easy way to fix this problem is just to raise your seat up where you're not sitting so low. If your seat doesn't have that capability, then you may want to have a pillow or a bolster or something like that. One of the things that I suggest is to have, and this is what I use with a lot of my patients, is a cushion or a ball, something like this. If you have a chiropractor that does corrective work like I do, they can order something like this for you very easily, and this will help you because it elevates you. So it's about, I don't know, about 6 inches thick, it looks like. But it's going to go right under here. And you'll notice immediately I have fixed the problem of those hip flexors being over-tightened. Now, I still prefer that we don't be sitting like this all day. But this is a good solution because now my knees are pointed downward slightly, which is much better for the pelvis and hips and the musculature surrounding that, and the lower back too. So now we've got my hips in a much better angle, my knees are pointed downward, and notice also that both of my feet are flat on the floor, and they definitely should be. You don't want to have one leg crossed crossed like so, or hiked up into the chair. Now just think of the twisting that that does to your pelvis. And I know a lot of my patients sit there for hours at a time like that. It causes a lot of damage to their spine, to the musculature surrounding their pelvis, and you do not want to do that. So keep both of your feet flat on the floor. Now sometimes, just to relieve some pressure on your lower back, it might be beneficial to have a block or a stool to put one foot up on at a time, just to relieve a little pressure. But for the most part, you want to be sitting evenly with your knees pointed down slightly if you do have to be seated. The other thing is that, as you will remember from previous videos, that you are supposed to have a curve, an arch in your lower back right here. And that arch should be maintained at all times. If it's like this, which I see chronically with so many people, then you're setting yourself up for disaster. Setting yourself up for injury, you're putting constant strain on the discs, the muscles and tendons and ligaments in your lower back and in your pelvis. And again, that's something that you absolutely must avoid at all costs because it leads to tons of problems. So when you're sitting in your chair, then you need to have that lower back arch maintained at all times. If you've been sitting in a poor position for a long time, when you attempt to do this and sit in a good position for any period of time, it's going to make those muscles fatigued because they're not used to doing that. So just be aware of the fact that that's going to happen. Be okay with it because you got to get these muscles stronger. So sitting nice and straight, as you can see, like this, knees pointed down once again, both feet flat on the floor, and I'm maintaining a proper arch in my lower back. You see that? You want to remember that the tip of your tragus, this little guy in your ear, should be right over the tip of your shoulder, and that should be right over your hip. The same thing as when you're standing. So when you're sitting there, this is what it should look like. Now this is a really healthy posture to be in, except that the fact that my legs are still bent. Going back to the standing desk thing, the optimum is to have a standing workstation. That's just all there is to it. But this is really the best that you can do if you're going to be seated. The other thing that this rehab cushion accomplishes is that you can actually be mobile while you're sitting, and that is really important. If you can do that, that will help you a ton to keep things from settling down, to keep your lower back from growing cold in a bad position. The sitting on the rehab cushion like this allows for movement in a side to side, front to back, and in a circular pattern, and you can constantly be moving. And as you work at your workstation, you can constantly be moving and actively doing something with those muscles in your lower back and keep yourself loose. So something like this is really, really beneficial. Another great option is there's a chair that you can buy if your employer will allow you to use it. That basically is just a rack that one of those big exercise balls sits in, and you can sit on an exercise ball and accomplish what I'm talking about. It's a great way to keep your spine healthy because you're forced to sit upright. You don't have something to lean back against like this, which causes a huge amount of problems. If you'd like to have something against your back, then you may want to think about a cushion or a roll that will help to push into your spine and maintain that lower back curvature. Okay, so there's that. The other thing is that there's supposed to be a curve in your neck, and this is the most important thing that I'm going to talk about right now. There's a curve in your neck like this, and it measures 40 to 45 degrees. It's like a C, just like that. And what I have found most of the time is that when people are working at computers and at their desk, they're looking down at a computer screen like this for 8, 10, 12 hours a day. And just look at what's happening to the curve in my neck. It's completely gone, and you're spending hours at a time like that. So we've got to fix that problem. So the first thing you need to do is find something that you can put underneath your monitor to elevate it. Now, I have my laptop here. It's not the best demonstration, but this is what we're going to use right now. You need to elevate the monitor of your computer where the bottom half is at eye level. It's very simple. You may have to put quite a few books under there. There's definitely some things you can buy at an office supply store that will raise the monitor. It's really not hard to find. I always tell people that you can just use the old textbooks from school that you're never going to look at again and put them underneath your monitor where they'll do you some good. So it needs to be this high. Not down here, but the bottom half of it should be at eye level. In that position, you cannot look down if you want to see what's happening on your computer screen. So that's a really, really great way to fix the problem of not having a curve in your neck, is to elevate the monitor of your computer. Now, if you do use a laptop like this, then spend $10 and get an accessory external keyboard that plugs into the side of the computer in your USB port, and then you can elevate the laptop itself and you still have your keyboard down here. It's very, very simple. But you've got to make sure that while you are sitting that you're in a good position. So monitor elevated, sitting in the right way like I just showed you will help to maintain the health of your spine. Now the other thing, if you do have to remain seated, if you can't have a standing workstation, is that at least every 15 to 20 minutes you need to stand up and stretch. Very, very simple. It doesn't have to take more than 10 seconds, but every 15 to 20 minutes I'm going to stand up. Just stand up, stretch your arms over your head, arms back like this, stretch that curve into your neck again, flex your lumbar spine forward and back and side to side. Put some motion into your spine, get out of that stuck seated position, allow your glutes to be active, stretch out those hip flexors like we just talked about. And doing that every 15 to 20 minutes during the course of your workday does not take a lot of time. It literally takes 10 seconds to do that, and you can move on about your day with all the other good habits that I just showed you. And this is going to help you to prevent so much injury. You really can't imagine how much I see that is a result of sitting at a desk for hours and hours and hours at a time. I hope this answers some of your questions. This is a much bigger subject, of course, than I can address in just this short video. So if you do have any more questions, then please feel free to contact us. If you haven't already done so, shame on you, but go to ourdailyvictory.com where you can find all of our other great resources and videos just like this to tell you, to answer all the questions that I get on a consistent basis, and maybe that'll be a great benefit to you and your family as well. So go to ourdailyvictory.com. While you're there, make sure you sign up for the newsletter so that you can get all the extra information that we share with our newsletter subscribers. But there's also a contact form there where you can contact us directly and we can answer any personal questions that you might have about your unique situation. Like our videos, check out the podcast that's on there, check it out on iTunes, leave some great reviews for us. We will see you on our next video.